Let me start with PayPal and this huge jump that we've seen in cryptocurrencies. How much of this is really to do with the broader global pandemic and these huge changes that we've seen in spending patterns?
Well, it's clear that the pandemic has in some ways really put a tailwind behind what's going on in the crypto markets. One example, frankly, is when you print lots of additional fiat currency, as we have seen here in the United States with the stimulus, that is inflationary in some level. And so you've seen the crypto market overall increase by about 90% this year. And gold, obviously, as another proxy for inflation, has obviously performed really well. The move away from cash as part of the pandemic certainly also helps. And I think, things like what PayPal is doing are indicative of a macro trend that I think is going to continue.
Are you expecting it to see being used more transactions from merchants and actual commercial use instead of just transactions related to exchanges and speculation?
I think that is a critical point. And I think that if it's just about speculation, if it's just about, trading, then it's not actually solving a problem. I think the long-term value of any cryptocurrency is going to be derived from what utility it's delivering. And so it could be that in some markets where their fiat currency isn't as strong as, let's say, the dollar or the yen or the euro, that you might see cryptocurrencies actually used for traditional transactions, consumer transactions. In most of the major kind of G20 markets, I think it's still early for that. But what you saw in the news from PayPal is indicative of the continued inroads that crypto is making progress.
Where's the regulatory oversight at the moment, Brad? Because we're hearing that the US regulators have been talking to Ripple. Can you give us an indication of whether those conversations have happened and what was being asked?
Yeah, the regulatory environment on a global basis, you see countries like Japan and countries like the UK and Singapore have really clear regulatory dynamics as it relates to cryptocurrencies. And that helps it helps companies with certainty know how to invest and how to build their company. In the United States, you have competing and frankly, different regulatory environments. You've got some that would say cryptocurrency is a commodity. Some would say it's a currency. Others would say it's a property. And then you also have some that say some cryptocurrencies are securities. That makes it hard. Regulation shouldn't be a guessing game. Ripple's definitely a proud U.S. company, and we'd like to stay in the U.S. if that was possible. But we also need regulatory clarity in order for us to invest and grow the business.
So have you had these conversations, and is it likely that you'll get the green light the same way that we've seen with Ethereum, or are these conversations ongoing?
They are certainly ongoing. Ripple has been talking to regulators around the world for years, and that's true here in the United States as well. I mean, really what we seek is a level playing field. You have two technologies in Bitcoin and Ether, both ironically controlled by Chinese miners. And, I think that what we haven't seen the U.S. do is to provide a level playing field the way the Japanese government has and the way the UK government has. And so in many ways, I think the US government's been kind of out of sync because you do have different pockets of regulation from different parts of the government.
I'm getting from what you're saying that very much options to move to a different jurisdiction would be on the table. Are you serious about making Japan the new home for Ripple?
Japan has been one of our strongest markets. We have a very successful partnership there with a group called SBI. They're actually our largest outside investor, and the CEO there, Katao-san, has been an innovator and pioneer in a whole lot of things around finance and technology or fintech. So certainly Japan is one of the markets we're looking at because there is clarity, and I think really Japan was on the leading edge back in 2017, providing a taxonomy to help companies and to help all of the regulators understand how they were going to look at different cryptocurrencies.
So you've started talking to, say, the Financial Services Agency in Japan?
Well, I'm not prepared to talk publicly about the different conversations we're having around the world yet, but suffice it to say, I think Japan is one of the countries where we think there is clarity and there has been specificity, and that clarity allows us to engage. And our goal from the start has not been to circumvent any regulation, but we can't have it as a guessing game and knowing how the regulation is going to play out. And that's kind of what we're seeing here in the United States.
Talking about clarity, some investors feel like, you owning a lion's share of XRPs, that gives you sort of an opportunity for market manipulation. Any chance that you might change how the company funds that and holds the reserve coins?
We actually put years ago, we put well over 90% of the XRP that Ripple owns into escrow accounts that we can't access. And so this is one of those kind of what I call FUD, where people put things out there that, without total understanding of what's going on in the market. There really isn't a risk because of how these escrows are structured, for Ripple to do anything that would actually be bad for the market. And obviously, it's not in our best interest to do so. We're a major holder of XRP, and we want to see it as a highly liquid, delivering a lot of utility. We deploy the XRP to solve a cross-border payments problem. We've been very successful with that. We've got a couple hundred customers we signed up around the world, and including customers using XRP to manage real-time cross-border payments.
What would make you change the way that you fund the company in that case?
Well, we're funding the company very successfully. We have a mixture of revenue from software sales, from transaction revenue. XRP has historically been a piece, but today, actually, Ripple doesn't sell any XRP through what we call programmatic trading. We only sell it as part of the product and the product experience.
Brad, I'm wondering how much deployment is actually happening from mainstream financial institutions, from companies in the adoption of Ripple?
We have been super lucky, and including during the quarantine, we've signed up about 2 new production contracts every week on average. So that's continued to grow nicely. We have publicly shared that we've done, about $7 billion worth of transactions recently. So we feel like we're going to continue to see a lot of growth, even relative to last year, even though the quarantine, I think, has slowed down our growth, but we're still going to be up about 400 or 500% on a year-on-year basis as compared to traffic across RippleNet that we saw last year.
Are you disappointed that PayPal is not offering Ripple?
Well, I think you probably mean they're not offering XRP. I mean, Ripple, just to make sure everyone's clear, Ripple is a private company. You can buy shares in Ripple, hypothetically, but XRP is an open source decentralized technology. PayPal, I think, has said they plan to go live with Bitcoin and Ether. And part of that goes back to the regulatory clarity. If you are a company looking at investing in or building upon a technology like XRP or like other digital assets, if there's not regulatory clarity, then you're likely to go with the ones that are clear. And that's what you've seen, I think, not just with PayPal, but certainly others in the marketplace that say, I'm going to start with Bitcoin and Ether because they have kind of the good housekeeping seal of approval in the United States. In other countries, frankly, like Japan, you see a much broader base where there is a level playing field, and you see multiple participants and achieving success in that market.